Welcome to A Slice with Dice, a podcast exploring the ideas, pressures, and possibilities shaping how we learn, lead, and grow. I'm Corey Alderdice. For over 20 years, my work has lived at the intersection of gifted education, leadership development, and school culture, supporting students as they find their strengths, educators as they stretch their thinking, and schools as they build paths that expand opportunity. Ready to dive in? Here's this week's Slice. Have you ever noticed how quickly our minds latch onto negative experiences? You might have had a perfectly good day, but then one tough conversation or stressful interaction takes over your whole mental space. As educators, we see this all the time. Students who dwell on setbacks, mistakes, or negative interactions, often carrying those moments with them long after they've left the classroom. But what if we flip this script? What if, instead of focusing on these negative triggers, we intentionally created spaces filled with what psychologists are now calling glimmers? I recently came across this wonderful term, glimmers, and it's essentially the opposite of triggers. Glimmers are those little moments in your day that spark joy, peace, happiness, or gratitude. Think about the warmth of sunlight streaming through your window, the sound of laughter echoing down the hallway, or even that first sip of coffee in the morning. These are glimmers. Imagine if our schools prioritized creating and noticing those glimmers for our students. Imagine classrooms intentionally designed to spark small, joyful experiences throughout the day. Instead of merely avoiding triggers, we'd be actively seeking out and nurturing glimmers, building positive emotional resilience in our students and ourselves. Creating glimmers doesn't require grand gestures or huge resources. Often, it's about the smallest things done consistently and with intention. It's greeting students by name as they walk into class, sharing a brief moment to ask about their interest or their weekend. It's noticing when they're struggling and gently offering encouragement or simply acknowledging their efforts even when outcomes aren't perfect. When we cultivate an environment of glimmers, we're helping our students train their brains to spot the good around them, even in the challenging moments. We teach them that joy and peace aren't reserved for rare, perfect days, but are sprinkled throughout everyday experiences, waiting to be noticed. Now, I know that might sound overly idealistic at first, especially given the stressors that educators face daily. But that's exactly why I think we need glimmers. It's not about ignoring the tough realities of our work, it's about balancing them, making our classrooms places that affirm and uplift, rather than simply survive. So as you go about your day, start paying attention. Notice your glimmers. Maybe it's a student finally grasping a challenging concept, a colleague offering help unexpectedly, or even just the quiet satisfaction of a classroom humming along in productive silence. The more we notice these moments, the more frequent and powerful they become. And remember, your ability as an educator to see and amplify these glimmers directly shapes your students' capacity to notice them too. Together, we can create learning spaces that don't just reduce negativity, but actively foster joy, gratitude, and peace. Here's to filling our schools with glimmers, one intentional moment at a time. A Slice with Dice is a production of Aldercube. Thanks for making time to reflect with me. If you're finding value in these episodes, I hope you'll subscribe and help spread the word. Until next week, lead boldly, listen closely, and keep pushing forward. I'll see you then.